peaceful. I know that I can go to church and forget about everything and learn about God, and I'm surrounded by the love of my church family. I have a cute little story that I'd like to share with you. Marge went to her mailbox and there was only one letter. She picked it up and looked at it before opening, but then she looked at the envelope again. There was no stamp, no postmark, only her name and address. She read the letter. Dear Marge, I'm going to be in your neighborhood Saturday afternoon, and I would like to stop by for a visit. Love always, God. Her hands were shaking as she placed the letter on the table. Why would the Lord want to visit me? I'm nobody special, and I don't have anything to offer. With that thought, Marge remembered her empty kitchen cabinets. Oh my goodness, I really don't have anything to offer. I'll have to run down to the store and buy something for dinner. She reached for her purse and counted out its contents. $5.40. Well, I can get some bread and some cold cuts at least. She threw on her coat and hurried out the door. A loaf of French bread, a half-pound of sliced turkey, and a carton of milk, leaving Marge with a grand total of 12 cents to last her until Monday. Nonetheless, she felt good as she headed home, her meager offerings tucked under her arm. Hey, lady, can you help us, lady? Marge had been so absorbed in her dinner plans, she hadn't even noticed the two figures huddled in the alleyway. A man and a woman, both of them dressed in a little more than rags. Look, lady, I ain't got a job, you know, and my wife and I have been living out here on the streets. And, well, now it's getting kind of cold, and we're getting kind of hungry. And, well, if you could help us, lady, we'd really appreciate it. Marge looked at them both. They were dirty, they smelled bad, and frankly, she was certain that they could get some kind of work if they really wanted to. Sir, I'd like to help you, but I'm a poor woman myself. All I have is a few cold cuts and some bread, and I'm planning on having an important guest for dinner tonight, and I was planning on serving that to him. Yeah, well, okay, lady. Thanks anyway. The man put his arm around the woman's shoulders, turned, and headed back into the alley. As she watched them leave, Marge felt a familiar twinge in her heart. Sir, wait. The couple stopped and turned as she ran down the alley after them. Look, why don't you take this food? I'll figure out something else to send my guest. She handed the man her grocery bag. Thank you, lady. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. It was the man's wife, and Marge could see that now she was shivering. You know, I got another coat at home. Here, why don't you take this one? Marge unbuttoned her jacket and slipped it over the woman's shoulders. Then, smiling, she turned and walked back to the street, without her coat and with nothing to serve her guest. Thank you, lady. Thank you very much. Marge was chilled by the time she reached her front door and was worried too. The Lord was coming to visit and she didn't have anything to offer him. She fumbled through her purse for the door key, but as she did, she noticed another envelope in her mailbox. That's odd. The mailman doesn't usually come twice in one day. She took the envelope out of its box and opened it. Dear Marge, it was so good to see you again. Thank you for the lovely mail, and thank you too for the beautiful coat. Love always, God. The air was still cold, but even without her coat, Marge no longer noticed. What I learned from this story is that I can experience God in many different ways. The first time I went on top of the mountain at Camp Egan, I experienced God in the quietest way. Anybody who has been up there knows this sense of awe that you get when you first get up there. I got up on top of the mountain and everyone was silent. You could feel the presence pressing on your heart. Past the cross, there's a section of land and it looks perfectly white. I wondered to myself, how in the world did God even start to build this world? I began to read the beginning of Genesis, and I realized that God is so powerful. He can do anything he wants, and he knows what the right thing to do. He has set a plan in my life. I'm not sure what that is yet, but I intend to follow it. I know that part of his plan for me is to stay active in this church, such as going to church camp and youth force, and to serve as much as I can. Mark 10:45 says, "For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as ransom for many." The day that I was heading off to youth force, I was a little nervous since I didn't know anybody in the Barlow School District besides my church. I was assigned in my God squad, and I was very thankful that I knew at least 3 people. The first day of working was mostly cleaning up the owner's yard. The worship afterwards was great. The songs, the worship really drew me closer to God, and it made me realize that I am a horrible sinner, and I need the forgiveness of my Savior. On the day of serving, you get this blue t-shirt, and it says, "Serving 24/7, living it 365 days. Well, every time I wore it to school, I always have a person come up to me and see the dot in between the 24 and the 7 and go, "Oh, 24 times 7 divided by serving is what?" And I say, "Well, the answer is Jesus." Well, one day, a troubled kid was trying to find out the answer, and then I told him that the answer was Jesus. He started to ask me questions about Christianity, and I tried my best to answer them as correct as possible. And 5 minutes later, he goes, "Maybe I will go to church someday." As he said that, I thought to myself, I just planted a seed in that boy's life, and it was so easy as wearing a church t-shirt. So Thanksgiving is in a few days, and it seems like everyone is so busy nowadays that they forget to count their blessings. Some of the biggest blessings in life are some that we don't even realize, such as if you have food in the refrigerator, clothes on your back, a roof over your head, and a place to sleep, you're richer than 75% of the people in this world. If you have money in the bank, in your wallet, or spare change in the dish somewhere, you're among the top 8% of the world's wealthy. If you woke up this morning with more health than illness, you're more blessed than the million who will not survive this week. If you've never experienced the battle of danger, the loneliness of imprisonment, the agony of torture, or the pangs of starvation, you're head of 500 million people in the world. If you attend a church or other places of worship without fear of harassment, arrest, torture, or death, you are more blessed than 3 billion people in the world. If you hold up your head with a smile on your face and are truly thankful, you are blessed because the majority can, but most do not. If you can hold someone's hand, hug them, or even touch them on the shoulder, you are blessed because you can offer the healing touch. If you can read this message, you are blessed than over 2 billion people in the world that cannot read it at all.